Day of history and hope.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome to Open Forum from MTA International USA Studios, a space where ideas meet dialogue and questions of today shape the answers of tomorrow. In each episode, we take you on the most pressing, fascinating, and perhaps challenging issues of our time. And our aim is to take complex ideas, distill them down to be able to have a conversation and to be able to learn from all our guests here. So let's begin. Today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. Is it just powering futuristic inventions, or can I use this in my home? We keep hearing about how AI, artificial intelligence, is going to take jobs, is going to make tasks easier. I'm going to be able to write quicker letters, generate marketing ideas, do my business plan, do my household chores. There's a lot of promise here today. And with me in the studio, I have Shahzad Sahib. Welcome and Jazakallah for joining us.
Jazakallah.
Shahzad Sahib is a 30-year practitioner in computer science, data, and AI. He's an AI strategist for a leading consulting company. He's pursuing a doctorate of engineering in AI and machine learning from George Washington University. Before we go into our topic with Shahzad Sahib, we're going to take an in-depth look for an overview on this topic now.
What if you learned that AI is already around us? AI decides what shows up on your social media feed, what route Google Maps suggests, which emails go to spam, what songs Spotify recommends, how your phone understands your voice. AI learns by watching what we do. If you like cooking videos, nice, more cooking. If you enjoy sports clips, more highlights. If your feed is filled with cats, congrats, you have more cat videos. There are two main types: narrow AI, good at one thing, like translating text or detecting faces. General AI can learn and think across many things like humans. That's the one scientists are still working towards. But there are risks. Algorithms can shape what we believe. Recommendation systems can create echo chambers. And privacy matters. Your data fuels all of this. Islam teaches being aware and intentional, not just accepting things at face value. So understanding AI is really about understanding ourselves. So now let's discuss. Are we really controlling AI, or is it controlling us?
Jazakallah for that brief and concise explanation. Now let's just dive a little deeper. AI seems to be a very complicated space, and it's making life a lot easier for a lot of people. What is artificial intelligence?
So at its core, artificial intelligence is a concept that we can have machine learn and act as a human. And the things that human beings do, machines would be able to do that.
That's fascinating. So are there different types of the AI?
Yeah, so AI has been there for some time, but what has changed is with the computation power of today and the amount of data today, we have ability to train machines much better.
Because we're able to process a lot
Yes.
more data and find correlation.
Yes, and you can classify AI in two different ways. One of the way is just from a perspective of AI as a general space is a concept that we want to have machines learn. Within that, there is something called machine learning. Machine learning is that rather than having a function created or program instruction given to a machine can learn from the data and do it themselves.
That's fascinating. Yeah, so let me just switch to, why does this matter in my life?
It matters to my life, or it matters to everybody's life who is listening over here, is because the AI has been or is impacting everyday life in a much broader way than it used to be. From
Like what?
From as simple as what I'm going to order next, what I'm going to watch on the TV next, to as complex as I am going to create a business proposal, and can AI help me create business proposal?
The whole proposal, which
The whole
will take
proposal.
me months to do.
Yeah, and for people trying to think things through.
Right.
The exciting side of AI is actually there are things that it is trying to do, as things like autonomous vehicle.
Sure.
That is coming from AI, or precise farming. Those are some of the things that are coming from AI.
Farming. So I mean, there's food scarcity around the world. Can AI help resolve that?
So AI can help resolve things like it can look at the soil, and it can help you figure out how much hydration can the soil would need. So imagine the places where water is in scarcity, and over there they just do things by practice of okay, they would hydrate the soil as they used to do it. But what if Earth can tell how much water it needs, or what you're trying to plant, how much nutrition that needs? So those type of things
So
AI
get
can
much
answer.
more precise. So it will increase the amount.
It not increase or only increase. It can increase the amount of that the Earth is producing, but it can decrease the cost it takes to produce
And
that.
optimize it.
Yes.
That's fascinating. So, is there anything I should be worried about? Now, I use it for, if I need to write a legal letter, if I need to do some accounting, to make a plan for a vacation, itinerary, I can do all those things. What do I need to worry about?
So there are a couple of things that you need to worry about with AI. One of them is that AI, especially the examples that you gave, is in what we call generative AI, in which basically AI is trying to generate things.
So generative AI just means it's generating results for me.
It's basically creating a long form result. So as an example, if you are trying to write an email, you can just say, give an instruction. I want to write an email to my my boss that I am not going to be available because of sickness, or I have got some flu. It can create a long form result as a generation of text. Where the challenge comes is that for precise things, which you are trying to say, or as an example, you are trying to ask some kind of a medical question, or you are going to ask some form of a question where it doesn't know the answer. Today's available software that we have, like ChatGPT, Gemini, they rarely say, I don't know the answer. It would hallucinate. It would try to give an answer.
I don't understand what this word hallucinate means. It just makes up an answer?
It makes up an answer.
How could that happen?
Because imagine that you are a student and a teacher asks you a question and you don't know the answer to the question. You would try to make things up, right? So it does the same thing. The only thing is that you have a teacher that can recognize if the person is lying or not, or something, making things up, or they have understanding of things. In some cases, we are trying to ask things which we don't have domain knowledge of. And when you get the hallucinated answer, you don't know if it's a right answer or wrong answer.
There's biases. So if I'm a young person, I know AI is coming. A lot of people are using it. There's some great examples. There's a lot of jobs for it. How do I prepare to go into the AI field of work? I don't even know how to ask that question.
So, there is a typical answer to that. Follow the STEM line. Obviously, that helps because you have math, you have computer science, you have, physics. But I would say, in my mind, the most important thing is critical thinking. And the second most important thing is affinity to data. Can you look at the data and can you pretty much fall in love in looking at the data and figuring out what is happening over there? Those are, in my mind, the two most important things.
So understanding math and being able to interpret data.
Interpret data, as well as your ability of just just critical thought process, problem solving. Because most of the people that, at least in the businesses, when they are looking at application of AI, they're trying to solve a problem. And if you have an ability to solve the problem, you would be valuable in the job market.
That's fascinating. You know, we're going to take a break and see what the average American's opinion is on technology and these developing technology that's coming in and that's changing their lives and what they think about it. We're going to go do that and then come back just in a few minutes.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We're here in the heart of New York City at Times Square today to ask various people about their opinions on these new technologies that are coming out, whether that's self-driving cars or AI in general. Let's find out what people on the street are saying. What are your thoughts on AI?
AI? I think AI is gonna be the future because everything is gonna be make it by AI, like in a couple years in the future.
What is AI, artificial intelligence, and do you use it?
I use AI on a regular basis. I'm an interpreter, and we have to use AI to get ourselves prepared when we go to a meeting. And artificial intelligence, I think, is the real game changer. If you look at the amount of VC invested in this area, it's more than doubling. It's doubling maybe every 2 years.
Yeah.
And AI is going to truly be the game changer. It will change the way people think. It will change the way we work and live.
Yeah, I think AI is here to make life easier for everyone, and you have to use wisely. So depending on how you use it, can help you a lot.
And I think like in the other platforms of IA and the government using them, like I think it depends on the government that we're speaking, but of course it's gonna like control or try to see what people think, what influence people ideology, and of course if you use it for the bad, it's gonna be bad, you know.
Right. So there you have it. You've heard it from people on the street regarding their opinions on these topics. And you can tell people are either very familiar with it and they have very thoughtful sort of thoughts about it, or they're rather unfamiliar, or they might have heard of the name and they're more curious about how it works and what it does. So with all that, let's go back to the studio with Muhammad Ahmad Chaudhary Saab.
Welcome back. I mean, there's a lot of opinions out there, and these are average Americans. You know, we were trying to be very open about it, and let's get really deep here. We've been talking about AI and the great things it can do, make my whatever tasks I do in an 8-hour day at work. Hopefully it does it in 4 hours so I have more time to myself, because it can take some repetitive tasks and do them for me, so it accelerates. We talked about how I need to be able to have the critical thinking skills to be able to distill what it produces. Should I be afraid that it's eventually going to take my job?
Would there be some jobs that are going to be impacted by it? Yes. But with that, the opportunity that is over there is that we have an ability to do things that we were not able to do before. You know, we talked about farming, earlier. There is, so much poverty in the world, and if, with AI, we can solve the world hunger problem, not just by farming, but also by reallocating some of the overproduced things that are available and then making it available in the places where it doesn't exist. That type of problem is a human problem that human beings can solve.
I understand that, but if I'm working in accounting and my balance sheet will be produced by AI, what am I going to do all day?
You'll be doing some more critical thinking based problems. So if you talk about accounting, accountants are not just over there to churn the numbers. They're also looking at what should we do to improve my bottom line as a company. That's a critical thinking problem.
Thinking.
So can I improve the situation based on, as an example, when calculator came, we started doing much bigger things with the help of calculator. So same way we can do things with AI.
So I guess the question that we struggle with is this machine learning and the incredible amounts of data. In some ways, it seems it can do much more than a human brain can do. Is it as smart as a human brain, and is it going to as intelligent, and can it understand things like a human brain? Can it interpret things? Seems like with hallucination and all those issues, it probably can't.
So, can the computer today think the way human beings think? The answer is no. What AI does is it basically does pattern recognition. It has a lot of data. It tries to figure out how the data is correlated to each other, and it is going to respond to the question that is asked. And so in so many words, it's just looking at, doing some kind of a data mining. It's not truly, if you ask a question, it doesn't know what you are asking. It's just going to correlate that with the similar questions that were asked before.
So humans still have an advantage at the moment.
I am an optimist. I think human beings have a capacity to grow. And if we are, as things are being moved from human beings to a machine, there are more bigger problems that we can solve.
So if I have not been exposed to AI, it seems like these tools that are available online, some of them are free on a limited basis as well. Where do I start?
Basically, if you are able to ask someone a question in a person, you can do the same thing with some of these, softwares.
Where should I start?
You have two ways of looking at this. First of all, obviously, the interface to that is through keyboard or your phone. You can do that, or with voice recognition. But you can interact with it, asking simple question. It would start responding to that. If you're trying to say, okay, I have these four things in my fridge. What should I cook today?
Interesting.
Right? So it would, based on whatever you have in the fridge, it would try to give you a good menu or good recipe, rather. So things like that, or I'm going to a new town, and I want to make a 2-day, 3-day itinerary for that. Where do I go? My preference is, I like old places and things like that. So it would, based on your preference, it would give you the full itinerary. Things like that you in the past were, trying to figure out by searching.
It optimizes.
You have an ability to do it.
That's great. What I'm hearing is there's a lot of promise. There's a lot of good that it can do. It's not going to replace everything, but I should be aware of it.
And also, everybody needs to know that how we can grow as a human being. How we can keep learning.
That's amazing. Thank you for your time. And this has been a fascinating conversation on how we will use AI in our lives, whether it's building our dinner from the contents of a refrigerator, to solving world hunger, to addressing some simpler problems in our lives, like how do we vacation better. But there's a lot to do and a lot to be careful about, because it does hallucinate. It's not replacing humans, but we should be aware of it. This brings us to the end of today's open forum. Our goal is not just to provide answers, but to spark questions, and we're hoping you follow this discussion. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.